Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Actually, I'm always the student here. Happy to be part of Babbage Forum from the very beginning. Actually, I used to be an engineer, so put too many things in the slides. A little bit frustrating. Okay, I should say, as engineer, I should make the time. Okay, actually the global environment is changing dramatically, and especially for China. In the last maybe 10 years, there are very dramatic changes. And even when I talked last year about the procedure of the Chinese innovation industrial policy making, it's changed in just 1 year, changed a lot. So today I just mainly addressing the recent changes of the Chinese industrial innovation policies. 3 parts, key drivers. Actually, now we see the key drivers mainly we see in these 4 dimensions: science, technology progressing, and sustainable development, and geopolitical issues, not the issue, the pressures on China, and department reform. We are keeping the reform. The technology develops so fast, especially in recently we pay attention to the big data and the AI, especially AI. We see the AI developed so fast, and especially when AI combined with the manufacturing, we see there would be the revolutionary change for the manufacturing. So we just worry about our former advantages for the manufacturing will disappear very quickly. So we see we are very much pay attention to the advancing of the new technologies, especially with the AI. And also we see the telecommunication also. The communication is also the key for all, we see the IoT, the Internet of Things. So we see the 5G-based stations we install the most in this world. But actually, we see now the new communication technologies rising. We see the 6G or the satellite-based communication systems are developing also very quickly. And also the biopharmaceutical industry also being paid special attention to see that for the health of the people and to see the change of the healthcare businesses. Yes. And another thing is that's very important technology for the sustainable development. We see the green manufacturing, green industries, especially we see the carbon emission. China now became the world's biggest carbon emission country. Yeah, but according to we see the per capita carbon emission, we try to reduce it, and we are very firmly to emphasizing the so-called 2030 and 2060. That's a very hard task for us to fulfill this. But anyway, the government is very firm, insists on that. And many small companies shut down even because the carbon emission. Yeah, so in China, we see the regulations on the carbon emission getting more and more strict. And another very important driver, that's frankly speaking, the decoupling between China and the US, that's getting worse. In our words, it's getting worse. Yeah, so we could see that. And also we see the pressures on so many things. So such as the entity list. Up to now, there's already over how many companies? Actually, 600? No, at a total, more than 800 companies listed in the entity list. Even the company is small, but we see that and the special sectors, especially we see the semiconductors and the defense and advanced manufacturing. Yeah, that's over 10% of those companies in these sectors. And for the chip, we see the chip in China. We see we have very serious pressure on this. And the government set up a target to have so-called self-supply for the chips, but it's not so easy. But anyway, we got some progressing. So we see the import of chips reducing, slow down for the import. So our so-called self-supplier, the proportion is rising. So we could see, oops, it's not so clear. Yeah, over 26%. But in this year, we see already over 30% of the semiconductor self-supplied. And could be even more. We see that that's the bottlenecks for Chinese manufacturing. We have very special investment and special incentives to have the breakthrough of the bottlenecks. Yeah, but anyway, still, yeah. The bureaucrats in China, they have the very optimistic forecast. They say next year, 2025, should be 70%, but it's not workable. Yeah. And also we see the pressure of the geopolitical issues making some changes. So we see the higher tariffs on Chinese goods. We are facing the competitive challenges, but also we see that especially for the high-tech companies, it's not easy for them to do. But anyway, we could see under the pressure, we see the OFDI, the Autobahn FDI, and changing its directions. So more went to the Belt and the Road areas. But anyway, we see under the pressure of the decoupling, the globalization of Chinese manufacturing is still going on. So even more, we see the globalization of the Chinese manufacturing. Yeah. And also another key driver is that reform. China insists on the reform, continuous reform. So especially in this year, we see the reform related, especially related with the administration departments for innovation and industrial development. So we see especially strengthening the institutional responsibilities in some key areas. So we could see those reforms happens in this year. In this year, we see the reform, the Ministry of Science and Technology, lot of responsibilities now shift to some other department. Formerly, we see the Ministry of Science and Technology including too many things. They should be well coordinated. So we see reassign a lot of the responsibility to other ministry, National Health Commission, Ministry of IIT. We see the information industrial technologies, and also that's the policy making power remain in the Ministry of Science Technology, getting more and more pay attention to the so-called national basic research areas, basic science. And also we see a lot of other ministries involved in the whole ecosystems for the new phase of the innovation and industrial development. Yeah. So recent policy evolution, we could see that. That's the long trend. We see the innovation-driven development strategies, but it's changing. It's changing from the selective area-oriented to more functional support. So that's the basic trends. But we could see that the recent changes we see they happen here. We call it so-called total innovation. Total innovation system, they including so many things. We see the cultural, business model, and the institutional, and the technology, of course, and the management, and also the industry innovations. Yeah, so especially we see the meat of the innovation chain to the industrial chain. We call it, that's two chains should be merged together. So a lot of works going on toward this. That's so-called total innovation. And another key word now you see the new quality productive forces. What's the new quality productivity forces? And actually, it's not well defined in China. But anyway, all the government agencies announcing this to recrafting their policies following this direction. But we see that the key is that we could see the new quality productive forces, we see mainly related with industry, three kinds of industries. We see the new type production tools, and also the new type of workers and the new type of production relations, we call it. But actually to the industries, we see towards the strategic emerging industries, the policy to see it's consolidate the emerging industries, and also the transform and upgrade the traditional industries. That's the most difficult time for China to upgrade the traditional industries. Yeah, so the slowdown of the economic development mainly attributed to this, how to upgrade the traditional industries. But anyway, we have a new industry definition. It's called the future industry. The future industry, but what's the future industry? Also, it's not so clear, but we like to incorporate the new businesses. That's the governments pay attention to this, especially those new businesses enabled by the new technologies. So we see the data technology, digitalization, or the AI, and even we see the aerospace also included in this. Yeah, so called the future industries. And also especially for the talent cultivation, we have the new policies, so-called the new triple helix. The triple helix is merge the education, technology, and the talent together. So from this year, that's announced by the Ministry of Education. You see, up to next year, 20% of the university discipline and the majors will be changed. So changing to incorporate the trends of the industrial development, especially we see targeting as I mentioned, the three aspects: the consolidating the emerging industries and upgrading the traditional industries, and also coupled with the so-called future industries. So that's our new issues, especially for the universities. We have to changing those disciplines and the majors. Yeah, actually that's good. And also the so-called 7-in-1. That's our thinking for the ecosystems. So we see what's the 7? The 7 is that we see the government, the industry, university, and the research institutions, and leader users. We pay special attention to leader users right now. And also we see the intermediator, the third-party facilitator, and also, of course, the venture capital. The venture capital in China, we are facing big challenges. There are a lot of problems in this, but even though we see the amount of the money, the volume of the money is increasing dramatically, but the mechanism is not so good. We see too much government organized venture capital. We see the low efficiencies for it. And the so-called innovation consortium that's encouraged by the government. We see the key companies will play the leading role to collaborating with others, especially with their suppliers within the innovation consortium. Yeah. And special attention paid to the energy, the new energy. So new energy developed so fast in China, even though the cost is higher. But we insist on developing of the new energy. So that's the current things happening. And of course the EVs. The EVs is very, very bright in China, but it's very challenging in this world. We could say they're changing the whole face for the manufacturing, especially for the automobile industries. We see automobile industry is the pillar for the economy, but the EVs rising, changing the whole structure of this. We are facing the challenges. Yeah, but anyway, it's developed very fast. Okay, the last, not least, we should say, this year very important because we are facing the 15th five-year plan. We need to craft our next five-year plan. So this year we just started provide some principles to guiding the five-year plan. But next year would be the key time for all the government departments to craft their five-year plan. So for the five-year plan, but we could see the core is, of course, still we see the science, technology, innovation. That's still, it's very important. And in this 20th National CCCP conference in China, that's the top leader, government in China. They announced the addressing all the sectors, all the areas to encouraging or not encouraging, but we see that the encouraging, we could see the reform, technology, science technologies. Yeah, especially here, we could see that. So we see the continuously we are seeking the so-called the leading innovative country. But we see the changes in the proportion China's exports, of course, for the, thank you, for the new regulations, we could see that. So we see the trade to US decreasing, and but some others rising, especially we see the ASEAN, that's the highest increasing in ASEAN areas, countries. Yeah, we could see that. And the manufacturing, of course, the main part of the OFDI. Yeah, so we could see the rising of the manufacturing go outside outside China. So especially we could see that, such as for the EV, we could see the model, so-called the leading goose model. It used to be the Japanese model many years ago, but now we see the leading companies, such as the BYD, they invest in Hungary. So many suppliers go Hungary. This year, they try to invest in Morocco. So all those suppliers go to Morocco. So we could see that. But even more important, we see the model of the Autobahn investment from the greenfield investment now more towards the joint venture. So we see the so-called globalization. We are doing this, the globalization. So that's the going broad, we could see. The broaden the horizons, going to many areas. So especially we see the so-called multi-continental, multi-point layout for those leading companies. They are de-risking for the concentration on some specific countries. They try to distribute their global configurations. And the transform upgrade, so we could see, not just for the traditional manufacturing, but now more so-called smart manufacturing, or we say the advanced manufacturing, also go abroad. So we could see that in Mexico, and now we see in Hungary, in Morocco. And especially in Southeast Asia, we see the Malaysia and Thailand became the hot land for Chinese smart manufacturing to go there. But they are taking the model with so-called joint ventures. So typical case is the Geely. The Geely go to Malaysia. They collaborate with the Malaysian companies that invest on the Proton. Yeah, so the business is very successful. And last month, I used to have paid a visit to them in Malaysia. And they told me even the land's price doubled because so many Chinese companies go there. And the integration. Yeah, so we see the deep localization, that's the main trends now. Yeah. But for the key sectors, such as the semiconductors, so we could see China is making the efforts to have the bottleneck breakthrough. Yeah, it's just in the beginning of September, 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, we could see 3 weeks ago, the Ministry of Information Industrial Technology announced, officially released the catalog for the promotion and the application of first sets, so-called the first sets of major technological equipment. That's the new addition for this. They announced we see the new technologies. We see just something like the breakthrough. So we could see later on those industries will develop even faster. Yeah, so that's the case. Yeah. So we see the high-end equipment import substitution is reinforced. And another point is the national labs. We see because the most of those bottlenecks from the weakness of the basic research. So in China, in recent years, we try to reinforce our national labs to play the key roles for the basic research to support the applied science development. So that's the basic trends. And my final slides, we could see that we have the target to see 2035 is so-called a high-level indigenous science technology capability building and become one of the leaders among the world's innovation countries. Yeah, so we see, especially, we pay attention to the future industries. That's something new. And also to the integration of the digital, especially we see the AI technology into the real economy. We see the manufacturing. That's also the key task. And also we see the domestic breakthroughs, as I mentioned. We try to do focusing on this. So that's we see the science, technology, and the manufacturing has the priorities in our government's policy making. Yeah, but even though we are facing very serious challenges, we try to collaborating with more countries. We see one of our reform direction is to reinforce our openness to this world. But it's, frankly speaking, not so easy. Anyway, thank you. Thank you so much.